The rain fell in sheets against the windshield as Mark Davis pulled into his driveway, the headlights illuminating a huddled figure on his front porch. A young woman, soaked to the bone, clutching nothing but a small backpack. Their eyes met through the downpour, and in that moment, neither could have imagined how one simple question would forever alter the course of both their lives. If you've ever believed in second chances or the power of human connection, this story will touch your heart. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that remind us of the extraordinary impact ordinary people can have on each other's lives. Mark killed the engine and sat for a moment, watching the rain cascade down his windshield. The day had been long, meetings that dragged on, a client who couldn't make up his mind, and the school calling about Jamie's science project that was due tomorrow but hadn't been started. Single parenthood was a constant juggling act, and some days, like today, he felt like he was dropping every ball. He grabbed his laptop bag and made a dash for the porch, not immediately noticing the figure huddled in the corner until he was fumbling for his keys. When he did, he nearly dropped everything. "Jesus," he exclaimed, startled by the unexpected presence. The young woman looked up, her face pale and drawn, dark circles under eyes that seemed too old for her youthful face. She couldn't have been more than 22 or 23. Her clothes were soaked through, her dark hair plastered to her head. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely audible above the rain. "I didn't mean to scare you." Mark recovered quickly, years of parenting having honed his ability to adapt to unexpected situations. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" She hesitated, then slowly stood up, revealing her slight frame. "I'm looking for Mrs. Abernathy. She used to live here." "Mrs. Abernathy? She sold the house to me almost 2 years ago. I believe she moved to Florida to be closer to her daughter." The young woman's face crumpled, and for a moment, Mark thought she might collapse. "Oh," was all she said, but the single syllable contained volumes of disappointment and despair. "Did you know her well?" Mark asked, unlocking the door but making no move to go inside. "She was my foster mother for a while. Years ago." The young woman hugged herself tightly. I didn't know where else to go." Those words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Mark had heard similar words before, from frightened children in temporary homes, from his own son after his mother left. The weight of them was familiar. "I'm Mark Davis," he said, extending his hand. She hesitated before taking it. "Ellie. Ellie Winters." "Well, Ellie Winters, I can't offer you Mrs. Abernathy, but I can offer you a dry place to sit and something warm to drink while we figure out your next step. If you want." Ellie looked at him warily, then at the dark, rain-soaked street behind her. "Why would you help me? You don't know me." It was then that Mark asked the question that would change everything, a simple question born from years of his own struggles and the wisdom that came from them. Does anyone ever really know anyone when they first meet? We all start somewhere. Inside, Mark's home was modest but warm, a lived-in space with mismatched furniture, family photos, and the organized chaos that comes with raising a child alone. He handed Ellie a towel and directed her to the bathroom where she could dry off. "I have some of my sister's clothes here from when she visited last month," he called through the door. "They might be a bit big, but they're dry." When Ellie emerged, swimming in borrowed sweatpants and a faded university hoodie, Mark had 2 mugs of hot chocolate waiting on the kitchen table. The normalcy of the scene, the clean kitchen, the homework spread out on the counter, the refrigerator covered in a child's artwork, seemed to both comfort and unsettle her. "Your house is nice," she said, sitting gingerly at the table. "Thanks. It's a work in progress. My son Jamie and I moved here after the divorce. Fresh start and all that." Mark pushed a mug toward her. "So, Ellie, what brought you to Mrs. Abernathy's doorstep tonight?" Ellie wrapped her hands around the warm mug but didn't drink. "It's a long story. Those are usually the most interesting ones." She took a deep breath. I aged out of the foster system 3 years ago. I was doing okay for a while, had a job at a diner, was taking some community college classes. Then the diner closed, and I couldn't find another job that worked with my class schedule. I lost my apartment last week. She stared into her mug. Mrs. Abernathy was the only foster parent who ever treated me like I mattered. I thought maybe she could help me figure things out. Mark nodded, understanding all too well how quickly life could unravel. And now? Now I don't know. The shelters are full. I've been sleeping in the library during the day and walking around at night. I just needed somewhere to go tonight because of the storm. She finally looked up at him. I'm not looking for charity. I just need a break. One break. Before Mark could respond, the front door burst open, and a whirlwind of energy in the form of a 10-year-old boy exploded into the kitchen. Dad! Dad! Guess what? Tyler's mom said I could stay for dinner, and we had tacos, and then we finished our science project, and it's awesome. We made a volcano that actually explodes with real lava. Well, not real lava, but it looks real, and Jamie stopped abruptly when he noticed Ellie. Who are you? Jamie, this is Ellie. She's an old friend of Mrs. Abernathy's who didn't know she'd moved. Ellie, this is my son, Jamie. Jamie studied her with the frank curiosity of childhood. You look sad. Are you sad because Mrs. Abernathy moved? She was nice. She gave me cookies when we came to look at the house. Ellie's face softened. Yes, she was very nice. And yes, I am a little sad. When I'm sad, Dad makes hot chocolate and we watch movies. He's making you hot chocolate, so you should stay for a movie too. Mark opened his mouth to intervene, but Ellie spoke first. That's very kind of you, Jamie, but I should probably go. Where? Jamie asked with a child's directness. The simple question hung in the air, unanswerable. Ellie looked at Mark, a silent plea in her eyes. Jamie, why don't you go get ready for bed? It's a school night, and it sounds like you've had quite the adventure today. Jamie groaned but complied, giving Ellie a small wave before thundering up the stairs. When he was gone, Mark turned back to Ellie. Look, I have a spare room. It's nothing fancy, just a futon and some boxes, but you're welcome to stay tonight. Tomorrow, we can figure out next steps. Why would you do that? You don't know anything about me. Mark thought about his own journey, the unexpected divorce, the struggle to rebuild, the kindness of strangers that had sometimes made all the difference. Because everyone deserves one break, he said simply. That night turned into a morning, which turned into a week. Ellie slept in the spare room, and during the day, while Mark was at work and Jamie at school, she transformed the house. Mark came home to find dinner cooking, laundry folded, and the perpetual dust that had settled since his divorce mysteriously vanished. You don't have to do all this, he told her on the third day. I want to earn my keep, she replied. Besides, I like having something to do. By the end of the week, they had fallen into an unexpected rhythm. Ellie helped Jamie with his homework, her community college experience making her an ideal tutor. Mark found himself looking forward to coming home, to the smell of cooking and the sound of laughter, things that had been missing for too long. But there was an unspoken understanding that this arrangement was temporary. Ellie continued to search for jobs, and Mark helped her update her resume. They didn't discuss how long she would stay, both afraid to define what was happening between them. It was Jamie who finally forced the issue, in the direct way that children often do. Is Ellie going to live with us forever? He asked one night as Mark tucked him in. Mark paused. I don't know, buddy. She's trying to find her own place. But she's happy here. And you smile more when she's around. And she makes the best mac and cheese. Jamie counted off these points on his fingers as if building an irrefutable case. It's complicated, Jamie. Why? Don't you like her? Mark sighed. Of course I like her. But people don't just move in together because they like each other. Mom moved in with Steve because she liked him, Jamie pointed out. The mention of his ex-wife and her new husband stung, but Mark kept his expression neutral. That's different. Why? It was a question Mark couldn't answer, not even to himself. The turning point came a month after Ellie's arrival. Mark received a call from Jamie's school. His son had been in a fight and needed to be picked up. When he arrived, he found Jamie sitting outside the principal's office, a bruise forming under his eye. What happened? Mark asked, kneeling in front of his son. Jamie looked down. Tyler said I was weird because I don't have a mom at home. He said normal families have a mom and a dad. I told him I have you and Ellie, and he laughed and said Ellie isn't my mom, she's just some homeless girl you felt sorry for. Mark felt a surge of protective anger, both for his son and for Ellie. And then? And then I punched him. Jamie looked up defiantly. I'm not sorry. Mark sighed. Violence isn't the answer, Jamie. But I understand why you were upset. After a meeting with the principal and a one-day suspension for Jamie, they drove home in silence. Mark's mind was racing. He hadn't realized how attached Jamie had become to Ellie, or how others might perceive their unusual living arrangement. When they got home, Ellie was waiting, concern etched on her face. The school called. Is everything okay? Jamie ran to her, throwing his arms around her waist. I got in a fight because Tyler said mean things about you. Ellie looked at Mark over Jamie's head, her expression a mix of confusion and something deeper, more vulnerable. Jamie, why don't you go upstairs and start on the homework Miss Chen sent home with you? Mark suggested. When Jamie was gone, Mark explained what had happened. Ellie listened, her face growing paler with each word. I should go, she said when he finished. I'm causing problems for you and Jamie. That's not what I'm saying. But it's true. This was always temporary, Mark. We both knew that. Did we? The question surprised them both. Ellie, in the past month, you've become part of our lives. Jamie adores you. And I. He trailed off, unsure how to express the feelings that had been growing since that rainy night. And you what? Ellie's voice was barely a whisper. And I don't want you to go. Not unless you want to. Ellie's eyes filled with tears. I don't have anything to offer you. No job, no money, no family connections. Nothing. That's not true. You've brought laughter back into this house. You've helped Jamie with school. You've made this place feel like a home again. Mark took a deep breath. But more than that, you've shown me that it's okay to let someone in again. After the divorce, I thought that part of my life was over. I'm scared, Ellie admitted. Every time I've trusted someone, it's ended badly. Me too, Mark said. But maybe that's the point. Maybe we're both scared because this matters. They stood in silence, the weight of possibility hanging between them. So what now? Ellie finally asked. Now we take it one day at a time. You stay. You keep looking for a job. We see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations. Just possibility. Ellie nodded slowly. One day at a time. I can do that. The days turned into months. Ellie found a job at a local bookstore and enrolled in classes to finish her degree. Mark's design business flourished, partly due to the stability that had returned to his home life. Jamie thrived, his grades improving and his confidence growing. They became a family, not in the traditional sense, but in all the ways that mattered. They celebrated holidays together, took weekend trips, and weathered the small storms of daily life. They argued about household chores and television shows, made up with heartfelt apologies, and learned each other's quirks and habits. A year after that rainy night, Mark took Ellie back to the porch where they first met. "Why are we out here?" she asked, laughing as he pulled her through the door. "It's freezing." "Because this is where it all began," Mark said. "This is where you told me you had nowhere else to go, and I asked you that question about whether anyone really knows anyone when they first meet." Ellie smiled at the memory. "I thought you were crazy, offering your home to a complete stranger." "Maybe I was. Or maybe I just recognized something in you that I needed in my life." Mark took her hands in his. "This past year has been the happiest of my life, Ellie. You and Jamie are everything to me." "You're everything to me too," she said softly. "You gave me a chance when no one else would. You saw me, really saw me, when I felt invisible." Mark reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I know we've done everything backward, but I was hoping we might make it official." Ellie's eyes widened as he opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant ring. "Ellie Winters, will you marry me? Will you be my wife and Jamie's mom and continue building this beautiful, messy, wonderful life with us?" Tears streamed down Ellie's face as she nodded. "Yes. Yes to all of it." As they embraced on that same porch where their journey began, both marveled at how a single moment of kindness, a single question asked in the rain, had changed the trajectory of their lives forever. 3 years later, the Davis family had grown. A baby girl named Abernathy, Abby Davis, named after the woman whose absence had inadvertently brought them together, completed their family. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and the beautiful chaos that comes with raising children. Ellie had finished her degree and now ran a program for youth aging out of the foster system, helping them navigate the challenges she had once faced alone. Mark's business had expanded, allowing him more time at home with his family. And Jamie, now a teenager, had grown into a compassionate young man who understood better than most the value of kindness to strangers. On rainy nights, Mark and Ellie would sometimes sit on the porch, watching the downpour and remembering. They would hold hands and marvel at how close they had come to missing each other, how many small decisions and coincidences had aligned to bring them to that moment on that particular rainy night. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if Mrs. Abernathy still lived here?" Mark asked one such evening. Ellie considered this. "I think about it all the time. She would have helped me, I'm sure. But then I might never have met you and Jamie. I might never have found my real home." "Home isn't a place," Mark said, echoing words he had once spoken to Jamie after the divorce. "It's the people who make you feel like you belong." Ellie leaned her head on his shoulder. "I belong here. With you. With our family." As they sat together, listening to the rain and the sounds of their children inside, they were reminded of the profound truth they had discovered together, that sometimes, the most life-changing journeys begin with nowhere to go and a single question asked in kindness. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Remember that the smallest acts of kindness can change lives in ways we never imagine. Sometimes, all it takes is opening your door, or your heart, to someone who has nowhere else to go. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded of the power of second chances and the family we create through love and compassion.